Hello, everyone, and welcome back once again to the final race of 2020's Drivers' Room Acelith Design Endurance Championship. Season 6, Round 8, Tier 3 and 2 merged. So, some info, as I said in Round 7, that this merge was I'm just gonna go out and say it. It was a shit show, and I am sorry for how the merge was handled. I have apologized multiple times to the guys in Discord, and even though I've been told this was not my fault, I was still the host of the Tier 2 3 merge, and I hold myself responsible. Sorry. And yeah, I hold myself responsible for the people that couldn't participate tonight, which was three people from Tier 2 that signed up maybe a little too late. And yeah, it was a scramble. It was first come, first serve. And I am truly, really sorry for how this was handled, but we decided to merge because the numbers looked very small by the time we started the merge, and uh, when everyone was into the lobby 5 minutes before, or a couple of minutes before the qualifier, people suddenly started to show up. People that hadn't maybe signed up or had signed up just I can only say I am sorry. I apologize strongly for what happened, and if we have a merge in the future again, it has to come from the bosses of this endurance series, namely Gadget, and the others that can make a decision better than I can. I host the lobby for Tier 2, and that's it. And I did the best I could. And for the 9th billionth time, I am really sorry for the guys that couldn't make it today. But regardless, we are here at Yamagiva 2 Kyoto, and let's see how everyone got on in today's qualifier. Starting off in pole position, we have Blue Racer, who has made an excellent debut. We have Gary there in his Corvette. Roland, Tier 2. Coolio, Tier 2. Mitsos, Tier 3. Jules, Tier 2. Tom Nixon, Tier 2. JC, Tier 2. Jammy, Tier 2. Myself, Kim, Tier 2. Jason, Tier 3. Ben, Tier 2. Frog, Tier 3. Nightmare Racer, Tier 3. Revs, Tier 3. And Rocker, Tier 2. So, as you can see, Mac, Wilco, and I believe a couple of other guys are missing from today. And like I said, I am very sorry for what happened. And let's see how everyone got on in today's race. One further addendum to put into this race is that I told everyone that had joined not to rage quit, just stick with it if things goes to shit. If they crash, if they fall behind, do not by any circumstances give up. If you do, it will be kind of shitty for the guys that couldn't make it and couldn't enter. And yeah, if you just rage quit and leave, it would be kind of disrespectful for the people that couldn't enter the race. And I am glad to say that we only have one disconnect in this race, and the person will show itself later. But a disconnect is something no one can really predict or do anything about. And this grid walk is a little bit longer than it should be, and usually is. But I feel like I need to get this information out there, and let's get down to the track. See you on track. All right, here we go. Final round of 2020 Kyoto Yamagiva 2. We are off for the final round of ADEC 2020. As we see, Ronan has a wonderful start with Gary has a wonderful start with Ronan right behind. Blue dropping down to third with Jules in fourth. It is Gary in first for tier 3, Ronan in the first for tier 2. Blue Racer in second for tier 3. So that's how the points are allocated. Everyone gets basically the positions they are supposed to get in their own tier, but in the mixed tier it is like it is. As we see, Gary has a good first lap. Let's hope he can avoid any unforeseen accidents. So we have Ronan and Blue Racer right behind. I think everyone got through cleanly. As we see Ronan, Blue, Gary. Ronan is right on Gary's heels. As we come up to start lap number 2. And Ronan going on the inside. Beautiful clean move from Ronan. As we see Gary going very wide there. As we see Jules in fourth, we have Mitsos in fifth, Coolio sixth, JC in seventh. We have Kim there, Tom, Jason, Nightmare, Ben. We have Rocker, Revs, Frog, Jammy. There's a lot of fighting going on for 14th. So we try to follow the map as well. Looking like Jammy's going for a move on Revs. Makes a stick, gets back up into 14th. Come back with Ronan and Gary, as Gary has gotten back past Ronan. Corwin's doing good so far. Pretty surprised to say that. The American cars aren't really known for going more than left. As we see, Mitsos is really struggling in the DBR. Good car on slipstream, but very difficult to handle in turns. As we see, Blue Racer has himself a little penalty as he tries to chase down Ronan and Gary. It's as we see Blue oversteering into the chicane. Has a lot of work to do again. Mitsos, Coolio running up into 4th and 5th respectively. As Blue is right on Mitsos' heels yet again. Kim in 7th, trying to reel in that mighty Viper. Jason in 9th. We have Tom, Nightmare, Ben, Rocker, Jammy. Frog has fallen down a little bit. Revs has fallen down a big distance, big chunk. As we see, Gary is carving himself a little gap down to Ronan. Jules is doing remarkably. Oh, I can't speak. That word, remarkable. As we see Coolio in front of Blue and Mitsos. Blue on the move. He's going on the outside. Does he have the gap? Oh, yes he does. Moving Blue up in the fourth. As we see Coolio, Mitsos still hasn't given up. They're still fighting. As we see Ronan is losing a little bit of distance up to Gary at the moment. As we see Coolio with his nose on the rear end of Blue. Not able to make the move. Doesn't stop him from trying as there's contact. Oh, and he goes very wide on the grass, losing down to Mitsos and Kim. Or no, just Kim. As we go back to Tom being chased down by Jason. Get off the grass, Jason! No! Oh, he's got to be screaming in that car right now. Revs all the way down in 16 as we come back with Rocker chasing down the Jammy boy. And Jammy is holding it on the outside. We do know that the BMW isn't very fast on the straight. We see the Vantage just pulling away on the straight, but then again, Jammy does have the inside as Rocker goes on the outside to try and pass Jammy. But Jammy holds it through turn one and stays ahead of Rocker. Good move. As we see Ben in 11th, trying to chase down Nightmare. Tom, we have JC chasing down Coolio and Mitsos. As Coolio is right on the gearbox of Mitsos. Mitsos just doesn't have enough handling or grip to take that car through the corners as well as Coolio. As Coolio goes in the inside into the right-hander. Gets ahead before the S's. Coolio now. Coolio really pushing the car, and no! He smashes into the wall. Oh, such a good battle with Mitsos, and just totally oversteers, clips the grass and curb, and just the car just launches him into the barrier. As we see Rocker up into 11th. And Nightmare has dropped down. And Coolio just isn't giving up. He can't give up. I gave strict orders to stay with it. If things goes to hell, just stick with it. Don't give up. As we see, Gary and Ronan still hasn't stopped fighting. But Ronan is a little tiny bit behind Gary to do anything about it. As we see, Ronan going very wide on the grass, losing a bit of distance up to Gary at the moment. As we see, Jules is trying to stay ahead of Blue. Blue is closing in fast in that mighty McLaren. The 650 is just a beast to look at as we see Blue getting the better exit. Does he get ahead of Jules before the S is? Oh, it's going to be close. They're going too wide. And Jules is a good driver, and he notices that he is there and backs off. But now Jules can stay in the slipstream of Blue. As we see Kim, just normal occurrence for Kim, just staying alone on track. And he's back from his 2-week binge of Warcraft for participation in the final round. As we see JC going past Mitzos. Mitzos just hasn't got the handling capabilities to stick with the rest of the pack on a twisty track like Kyoto. It's a shame really, because the DBR is one of the sexiest cars out on the field, and it just can't keep up with the better handling cars. Tom in 8th, he has carved himself a little gap down to Jamie, who is being followed by Ben. Ben, I think, has had a lot of fun in Tier 2, so the demotion into Tier 2 I don't think has bothered Ben as much as it would any other driver from Tier 1. Especially when you come to think about the heavy damage in Tier 1, which is quite crippling, and when Ben has had such a lot of bad luck in Tier 1 right off the start, and in Lab 1 usually tends to ruin his race. As we see Jason in 13 after his spin in this exact corner a couple of laps ago. Revs in 14 being followed closely by Mr. Coolio. That spun, and he's gotten himself back up, so he's not giving up, that's for sure. Very good work, Coolio. Do not give up. That's the one order I gave for this race. Do not give up. Stay with it. As we see, Gary has been into the pits. Ronan is leading the field now in first with Blue right behind him. And Gary has come out right behind Blue. The skill level between these two racers should be the same. Gary has the better tires now. He should be able to pull away from Blue quite easy, which it seems like he does. The grip levels are very noticeable at the moment. As we see, Blue's rear left tire has had a lot of hammering to it. The little drift he had in chicane after the start didn't really help, as we see him almost drifting through the right-hander here as well. Beautiful looking car from Blue. As we see Jules still in fourth, just had his nose out of trouble. Well, hasn't, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes I'm just lost for words. I don't know what to say when I'm trying to say it. I'm thinking it, but I can't get the words out. As we see, Kim is trying to close in on Jules, but Jules is on fire today. As we see Jules into the pits. Where will that put Mitzos and JC? I think they will come out. Oh, just ahead of Jules. The pit lane exit on Kyoto is ridiculously dangerous. Thanks a lot, Polyphony. That is the one thing they really haven't gotten down on their original circuits, that's for sure. As we see Jamie in 8th, still staying out. Wow, those tires are looking good. Good job, Jamie. The Beamer is a tire saver by the looks of it. As we see Tom Nixon's tires are looking a little bit worse. Ben's tires are looking way better again, so the Supra is quite nice to its tires. Even though Kyoto is a very horrible track to tires in general. As we see, Rocker's tires are also looking quite decent. And I think Nightmare's using a little bit more of his tires than the others. But decent tire wear from Nightmare as well. Jason still trying to make a dent, still trying to catch up to the rest in front, and look at the front left tire. That has had a lot of pain. Shouldn't be long until he goes in. As we see Coolio in 14th, and just shook off a penalty. Revs in 15th, and we have Frogman in 16th. As we see Ronan and Blue going into the pits, coming out now. Kim comes out right behind Blue. These tires are looking surprisingly good when you think about this is a heavy American car with a big V10 truck engine in the front. And Ronan, like Ronan always does, stays awesome and keeps it clean, keeps it fast, and is about to catch up to Gary, I would assume. As we see Gary in first, just pulling away from the field in the mighty vet. I didn't expect this Corvette to be this good around this track, but Gary apparently has that beast reeled in. And he has tamed the stallion. We have Jules catching up to Kim now with fresh tires, so it shouldn't be long until Jules probably gets on the gearbox and exhaust pipes of Kim to just pass him without any major problems, I would believe. As we see Kim, will he go into the pits? 10 laps now. Can he make a couple more? Kim goes on around for another circulation. As we see JC, Jamie. We have Ben. As we see Rocker into the pits with Tom Nixon has also been into the pits. Rocker coming out now. Very short pit stop on Kyoto. As we see Mitsos barely getting ahead of Rocker. And this is interesting. We have a new generation of Aston Martin Racer in the back and the old style DBR9 in the front with Mitsos. Not a lot of differences between them, but then again, I do believe that the DBR is a little bit more sexy than the Vantage, but the Vantage is also a lot sexy as we see Rocker almost smashing into the rear of Mitsos. Jason has been into the pits and gotten himself up into 13th, and we see Nightmare is down into 13th, Coolio still in 14th, we have Revs in 15th, and Frogman is struggling in the Mackie in the back. Whew, I need to get a drink because the talking is getting a lot stronger at the moment. So we go down to Kim. I think he's the only one that hasn't changed tires yet. Whew. And Kim dives into the pits, putting Jules back into 4th or 2nd in Tier 2. As we see JC into the pits as well, we have Tom in 9th, Mitsos still in 10th with Rocker there, Jason. Where's Ben? Ben is still staying out on worn tires, so he's probably going for a long stint. Tires aren't looking that bad, so maybe this lap or a couple of laps and he will enter the pits to get some new boots on the car. Going back to Gary just to take a look and see what the damage is. We see Ronan is quite a distance behind, and Frog is about to be overtaken already by the leaders. So the top 3 has really given this a good show. They really driven away from the rest, and they are on a pace quite unlike any other we've seen so far. Jules, he is sticking his nose out of trouble. There we go. When I look for the words, they finally pop out as we see him going over the grass there, but totally legal. Unless the game means it's unfair and gives him a little penalty more just to satisfy being douchebags. Gran Turismo, I mean. Kim in 5th. Kim has pulled away from the rest of the field right now. And the back of him, as we see Jamie into the pits. JC and Ben going into the pits. Well, not JC, but... And I think Ben just grabbed a little bit of fuel. Tire wear is at 3 when it's usually... No, 2, I believe. No, 3. And the fuel is 1, where the fuel is usually 2, and the tire wear is usually 5, if I remember correctly. In the 90-minute, it's a little bit lowered just to even out the time where, you know, where people has. As we see Ben with cold tires just pushing it a little bit too hard out of the hairpin, but manages to not ruin the car completely. If he would have gone into the wall in Tier 1, that would have been his race over, pretty much. Coolio still sticking with it, so please do not give up, Coolio. Just keep on fighting, keep on trucking. And Revs is not having a good outing in this one. Maybe the Citroen is a little bit of a handful in Kyoto, but just keep your head down and do your absolute best. You're not in last, and just don't give up. Frog has been lapped by the top 3 and is about to be lapped by Jules and Kim too, I believe. As we see, Gary's still in the first, so let's go for a little telemetry and take a look. As we see, Ronan is 4.6 behind Gary. We have Blue 3.6 behind Ronan. Jules is 6.3 behind Blue. Kim 5 seconds behind Jules. JC 6, Jamie 3, Nixon 2, Mitzos 1. And Gary has the fastest lap of 1:33.1. So Gary's doing good in the mighty American Corvette, and yeah, unless he does any unforeseen mistakes, this could be where he ends up. As we see Ronan just trying to catch up with the American. Maybe the American is a little bit better suited for Kyoto than the AMG. As we see Blue Racer coming up there in the McLaren. And Gary's gone into the pits again. Tires weren't that worn. Ronan in first. And I know for a fact that Ronan is able to stay out for a long time on worn tires because he is skilled at racing on worn tires. But how will this play out for Blue? Will he catch up? Will he burn more tires? Or will he just dominate like he did in rounds 6 and 7? Jules, yeah, staying out of trouble. Kim staying out of trouble. We have JC just trying to keep up and stay out of trouble as well. Has had a few bad races in Season 6, but some have been beyond his control. And I'd just like to say that round 7 of Tier 2 has unfortunately been scrapped. No replay has been procured. Sadly, the only replay that was available was just a major lag fest. Round 3 of Tier 3 was bearable, but the round 7 I watched of Tier 2 was unbearable, and I couldn't use that. So sadly, there will be no round 7 Tier 2 video this season. So my urge and my request to everyone watching this video in the ADEC series, please, please, please save replays so the commentators, including myself, can create highlight videos of them. Coming back on lap 22, we have Tom Nixon in the battle with Mitzos. Mitzos just not able to hold the outside line into the last turn and drops 1 position behind and goes into the pits. As we see Ben in 10th, also diving into the pits. Nightmare diving into the pits. We have Frogman there and Rocker. Rocker now going up into 10th. Yeah. As you see Ben coming out in 11th. Jason, just ahead of Nightmare there as he comes out of the pits. Revs in 14th. And, not having a good day at the office. Frogman Just trying to reel in that mighty McLaren. And we've unfortunately lost Coolio to a disconnect. So, we're back with Gary, still doing good in first, with Blue Racer coming up in the back. He is fast, but will he catch Gary in the end? Still a lot of racing to do, and my math skills are all over the place, so I'm not going to attempt to say how many minutes are left. But yeah, just over an hour? Just under an hour? Yeah. No. Rolling in third, we have Jules still in fourth, staying out of trouble as always, and has carved himself a big gap down to the King Kim. Kim in fifth, still doing what he does best as well, just staying out of trouble and staying lonely on track as always. Jamie is catching up to Kim though, and Jamie has really been on fire today. He knows how to set a good pace, but is usually riddled with bad luck. So let's hope for his sake and the Guardian's sake that he can catch up to the Guardian Kim. JC, if the Guardian joke was a little unclear, I was talking about Destiny. We play a lot of Destiny together. Or usually not together, but you know, same time. Tom. We have Mitsos still trying to reel in the DBR. Has been into the wall a few times, but yeah. Rocker in the Mighty Nerf Atari livery in 10th. Ben in 11th. Ben, of course, is a very charismatic and very awesome driver to race with, and he's usually a bunch of fun to talk with in comms as well. So happy to have known this man. Hope a lot of other people have the opportunity to race a great guy like this. Jason, of course, as well, is also a great guy to race with, and his little call sign is "Get off the grass, Jason," because he usually goes off on the grass sometimes and screams into the comms chat, "Get off the grass, Jason!" And that's why we call him "Get off the grass, Jason." Little background story from Jason there. As we see, Nightmare, relatively new to ADEC still, but trying to figure out where he stands in the championship, and just trying to get a few seasons under his belt, and he'll probably be a force to be reckoned with for sure. And don't count Nightmare out at all. Do not count him out. He will probably surprise everyone once he gets his feet firmly planted into the ground and starts competing with the best of us. Revs in 14th, still trying to get a grip on the Citroen, and oh, I see he just cuts over that chicane, just nothing you can do about that. Frogman about to be lapped by Ben, as we see blue flags. Gary still doing okay in first, with blue there in second, and Ronan chasing behind as we see Blue Racer overcorrecting out of that curb and totally smashing the car into the guardrail, which will make it easy for Ronan to get behind them. As we see, Blue also has some damage, and this is not going into Blue's favor at all. That unruly little McLaren is really trying to kill him today. As we see Blue going into the pits to get some tires changed. Wow. We just switched to that at the right time. As we see Blue coming out of the pits yet again. Wow. Wow, simply wow. Whew. I do not want to be him in that cockpit right now. I really don't. I would have shot myself. As we see Jules yet again trying to scroll down through every single guy. As we see maybe a battle in the back. Yes, Tom Nixon is on the hunt for Mitzos' P8. Oh, god damn it. There we go. As we see, oh, Tom just skimming the rear end of Mitzos there. Ooh, oh! What in the world? I think Mitzos just unghosted and ghosted and unghosted into Tom Nixon, and it just got to be a bump. And yeah. We come back with Rocker and Ben. Ben hasn't been able to make a dent, but I think he's just abiding his time and hoping that Rocker goes into the pits very shortly, but I don't think either of them will anytime soon. But the best thing Ben can hope for right now is that Rocker just ends up in the wall somewhere and he'll snag 10th from him. But of course, we as the commentators hope that Rocker actually does not do that, and it makes it interesting in that we get an interesting battle between them. Nightmare dropping off a little bit. Coming back with Monsieur Gary. Gary has been pretty unstoppable so far. Not a lot of action as we see him going into the pits. Ronan with a 6.4 second penalty. As he also dives into the pits. And this could be interesting. Blues come down the field now. And gets ahead of Ronan. Now, with both of them on fresh tires, where will Ronan end up? Will he be able to catch up to Blue? Will he drop off behind? Who is the better skilled racer at this point? As we see, Revs just throw himself off the track just to let people past. Coming back on lap 35, we are nearing the 1 hour mark with 6 minutes to go of the first hour. We have Jules still in fourth. Ronan has not been able to catch up much. He has accumulated himself a penalty of 8.7 seconds. We have Blue still in second place now with 1.6. We have Ronan in first with a 4.4 second penalty, and doesn't seem like the penalties run off quite easy on this track. As we see him going into the pits, where will that put Blue? Blue is on fresh tires, and Ronan has to fill up his car as well, as Blue goes very wide on the grass. We have Gary there coming out, and let's check the lap timing. 8.1 down to Blue, so Gary still considered safe from blue. And we see Jason there. Ronan still trying to make a dent, but not easy in the heavy AMG. Kim in 5th, still has been a quiet race for the Norwegian. As we see, JC is under attack from Jamie. JC is doing what he does best, just trying to stay ahead now, trying to stay out of trouble in the Crayola car. Jamie being followed by Revs, who is a lap behind at this point. Very difficult race with a lot of good drivers, so it's difficult for Revs to make a big dent into the points. Tom in 9th ahead of Rocker. So we see Ben with fresh tires out in 11th place. Jason up into 12th as he brakes very hard for the hairpin, and he's about to be lapped by Blue. Nightmare. Revs. And a man we haven't seen much of, but is cutting the grass out of the last turn, Mr. Frog. As we see Gary coming through in the S's to finish off lap 37 and start 38. Blue there in traffic, about to lap Jason. We've seen the aggressiveness of Blue. Just let's see if he passes Jason in a non-aggressive way. That is a little bit dangerous to go past on that turn. And it puts Jason into the gravel, so Blue, calm down. We have Ronan about to lap Jason as well, and Nightmare there as well. Jules, very alone on track, like I've said, and has stuck his nose out of trouble. And Jules has been very strong all season. Had a few mishaps here and there, but that is to be expected in a 1 hour. Kim as well in the Mjolnir livery, and sadly the Mjolnir livery after 2 years now, well 1.5, is now being retired for 2021. 2021 will feature a new team and a new livery, so look out for that. It will probably turn some heads, and not in a good way, at some drivers' expenses, but that is the plan of Kim. He wants to annoy a few people and those people that know me best know what I love, and some people know who they are, and they know what they hate. And that's all I'm gonna say about that matter. So, thank you for watching part 1, and